So, good evening, everyone. A very warm welcome to our session. Um, we're in February. It's our first session for the year. We didn't have one in January, so I'd like to wish everyone a happy new year. And may 2026 be your best year yet in your whole lifetime. Let this year be your best year so far. So, I'm Steve Sankar, transformational life coach. I'm the host for this evening's session, and I'm really happy that you've made the time for yourself and well also to join all of us here as a way of um, making this new year and making your life even better. When we think of a new year, to have a new year, we ought to have um, new thinking, new thinking, new behaviors, have new experiences. Otherwise, if nothing is new, then what we're really having is another 2025. And for some, it might be a 2025, but some might still be having a 2023, right? Or even a 2015, because the only thing that changed each year is the calendar. So what we want to do is to create newness in our life, to have new experiences, all right, to have new experiences so we can have the best life possible. So, just to share some housekeeping to make sure that we have the best session that we can possibly have. Please keep the mic muted. I have locked the mics, so I will unmute them at some point and invite someone to share. Feel free to write all your questions and comments in the chat as we go along. So just put everything into the chat. I will look at it from time to time, and the aim is to respond to everything. I hope that you've brought a notepad and a pen so you can take some notes. Because a lot of information will be shared in the session, and you want to have the opportunity to reflect post-session. The session recording will be sent to you by email, so if you want to replay it, you can. It's only 40 minutes long. And, please listen with an open mind. All right? You will hear things that maybe you agree with, maybe you don't, maybe you've heard it before. But please, just take the information in and take the information away after the session and see what you could make of it. See what you could make of it. To grow, we must be willing to learn. We must be willing to learn. So I am a transformational life coach, and basically I have expertise in mindset change and transformation. So I support people, whether they're individuals, whether they're in a company, whether it's an organization, to build up that mindset, build mental and emotional resilience, and, teach people new ways of thinking and being. New ways of thinking and being. In our session today, I will share some ideas and some thoughts about why our life feels harder than before. And I know some of us would be in our 50s, our 60s, even 70s, and then younger, right? So why life feels harder than before. How stress affects our thinking and our emotions, stress. And what transformation really means. So, as we think about why life feels so difficult today, it's because the world keeps changing. And, our world is changing in ways that um, has caused a lot of fear and concern. A lot of fear and concern. And there is a constant increase in mental health illness, a constant increase. And, something that people generally don't give consideration to, but we are living in the post-pandemic world. Post-pandemic world. We are all pandemic survivors. We made it through. Many, many millions and millions didn't make it. And life in the world was challenging, and there were many complexities before the pandemic. So it just got worse. What we've seen is increased uncertainty. Um, you know, the political scenario um, in 2026 is not like anything we've seen before. And when I say the political scenario, I'm not talking about Trinidad and Tobago. I'm talking about the world. Where countries we seem to have gone back in a time where countries think that they can take over another country and to express that openly, right? So this is the world that we are living in. And what we're seeing with people is, doctors can tell you, you can ask a doctor, how common it is that patients present with stress, anxiety, and depression. Those three things. And while stress, anxiety, and depression could be a normal part of everyone's life, because we do go through challenges, so we could experience some stress, some anxiety, and some depression. It's more than where it ought to be. It's much higher, and it's impacting on our health. So, many of us here, I am sure, may be experiencing some level of stress, anxiety, depression, even burnout. And, it is not that we are failing, it's not that we are failing. It's just that we are human beings, and these are indicators of the type of environment we're in, the world that we're living in. And when we think of the world, think of the people, think of um, the people. People say that the world is getting worse. The world is getting worse. But is it the planet? The humans are making the planet worse, but it's really the humans. All right? It's really the human beings doing all these crazy things. So, as we go through the session, you know, don't think of being here as um, you're here to be fixed. No, no one needs to be fixed. Um, Everyone is exactly as they are because of their life's journey. And each of us, we know, while others may not understand our life's journey, each of us, we understand what our journey has been like. Some people have had really, really challenging journeys. So when we go through the session, think of how we are as the human response to what's been happening. It's nothing about failure. It has nothing to do with failure. I invite you to take a moment and in the chat, write one word about how life feels right now. Just one word, no explanation, just one word about how life feels right now. Yes, absolutely. 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 Andrea, I hope you're hearing now. If you're not, log out and log back in. Maybe it has something to do with your connection. Yeah, none of what I'm seeing here is a surprise. None of it. None of it. And it's all valid. It is just all valid. When we think of our mind is our most valuable resource that we have. It's the most important thing, the mind. Everything, everything is affected. Everything in our life first starts with a thought, meaning my feelings, my words, my actions, my behavior, everything. It first starts with a thought. The mind creates thoughts, and how we use our mind impacts on our mind. And these heavy emotions, worrying, stress, anxiety, depression, all of those things, they have a negative impact on the mind. So it's thoughts that generally lead to those outcomes. My thinking, my thinking based on how I'm experienced in life, it's really my my interpretation of what's happening around me. That is what results in my state, how I interpret how life is happening around me, right? So it's these thoughts that can lead to stress. And as the world changes, we keep seeing more and more challenges. And if we are stressed out now, do we believe that as the year goes on, as the new years come by, that our current ability will support us? Or do we believe that we need to build up our mindset? You know, Prolonged stress has a negative impact on our brain and our body. In terms of our brain, it keeps us in survival mode. That's all we think we're doing, surviving. No time to thrive, no time to be creative and develop new things. We're just in survival mode. And things like willpower and just positive thinking or telling yourself you have to push harder won't work. It just won't work. It goes way deeper than that. If we were to stay the same way that we are right now as we go forward, the consequences will be dire. You know, um, it's well established and spoken about the negative impact of stress on our bodies, all the negative ways it impacts on our health, our finances, our relationships, our careers, everything, stress. It can even lead to death, right? Neuroscience has shown that stress narrows the way we think and it limits our choices. Again, survival mode. It's a little tunnel. All you need to do is get through it. That's all they keep thinking is that we just need to get it done, put the one foot in front of the next. Right? So neuroplasticity shows that and really is an explanation of our brain's amazing ability to change and adapt as we learn new things and we have different experiences. So it's shown, it's proven in MRI scans and other types of tests how our brain can change. So we can rewire our brain deliberately or let it be rewired by life. A brain that is stressed out looks very different to a brain that's peaceful and calm. All right. So in how we think and how we act will impact on how our brain changes. And believe me, when we think of change, many people are afraid of change. When you tell someone we need to do things differently, there's a lot of fear, there's a lot of anxiety. People wonder why we need to change. Even though things aren't good, people don't like change. I just don't know what about it, but people don't like change generally. But we can change in the ways we want to, in the ways that will work for us. Every day we change. And if we don't choose how we change, how we grow, then the way we change and the way we go forward, it won't necessarily be growth. It will be as a response to all the challenges in our environment and in our life. So I could actually decide how I want to change and how I want to grow, or I will let the world, I will let others decide that for me. You know, we can't solve today's challenges with yesterday's strategies. It won't work. We need to find new ways. We need to create new ways to live, new ways to live. And when you look at how humanity has evolved over the centuries, you know, we are experts at change. We are experts at change. When we think of all the technology we use in our homes, from the microwave to air fryers to fancy refrigerators, televisions, Alexa, all of these things, all of that is change. That is change. So we can change and we respond to change based on what's here, our mindset. Our mindset. We keep changing every day. You know, transformation is not overnight change. It's not about becoming someone else. It's not fixing. It's not changing your personality. No, it's small inner shifts in our thinking, developing new perspectives, choosing new ways of acting. And these new ways are really to support us with creating a happy, fulfilling life. Life is meant to be happy and fulfilling. It's not meant to be only survival. We are supposed to thrive. We are supposed to have enjoyable lives. And it all starts with the thinking. What I keep, what I keep in my mind, how I use my mind, creates my life experience. So change really starts inside here. It starts inside here. So I invite you to take a moment for a little reflection. So it's a private reflection, no sharing required. And I'd like you to think about where in your life do you sense that something needs to shift, even slightly. So I'll bring this up on the screen. So where in your life do you sense that something needs to shift, even slightly? So look for discomfort, or even look for pain. So where can we benefit from some change? Transformation begins with awareness, not action. First, there is awareness. When you think of your own life, um, maybe you had a moment where you had one of those aha moments where you just felt like you figured something out, or you had a sudden realization about something that's important. One thought can change our life. A single thought. In a second, in a microsecond, our life can change based on what's happening in here. What we want to do is make 2026 a turning point in our life. To move from survival to thriving. Let 2026 be that powerful turning point, not just a calendar change. Waiting for less stress to happen won't happen on its own. We are not in control, in charge of other people. Even parents can tell you, those of you who are parents will know that you really don't control kids. They have their minds of their own. You can restrict people, their movement, but you can't restrict their thinking. Waiting for others to change. Mm-mm. Ever tried changing anyone? Good luck with that. No, we can't wait. We can't wait for others to change or wait for stress to naturally and miraculously decrease. We have to do something about it. Or waiting to have more time. You need more time before you could attend to yourself. The more time doesn't happen, it just doesn't come. It's about choosing intentionally to make these little changes, these little shifts in your life. If we don't intentionally make these little shifts, these little changes, we will keep operating on autopilot. And the autopilot isn't taking us in a great place. Because when you think of the words shared in the chat and how you're feeling right now, and it's only acknowledgement, it's not criticism, it's just acknowledging how we feel right now. What's going to happen later on if nothing changes? What's going to happen? And change is exciting. Change brings newness. We don't eat the same meal 3 times a day, every day. No, we want variety. We want change. And this relationship with change in our mind, we need to shift how we look at change. It is only because of change that exciting things happen, only because of change, new things. Otherwise, everything would be the same. Everything would be the same. We change every day based on our experiences and based on how we think. And we don't recognize it. Others can recognize it. Others around you can tell you, yeah, you've changed. Maybe for the better, maybe for the worse, but others often notice it. We notice when others change, but we don't notice it for ourselves unless something happens. It's not about what's wrong with me now. No, nothing is wrong with me. It's what is life asking of me now? What is life asking of me now? How do I need to show up in my life going forward? And this can be your year that you relate to your life differently. This can be that year. So I know I've shared a lot of information with you, and just take it with you as you go forward and see what you can do with it. See what you can do with it. So let's do a little reflection. So based on the information I've shared, identify one thing that stood out for you, any one thing, and make a note of it. Make a note of it. One thing that stood out for you. Think of one small shift in your thinking, a small shift in your thinking. No force, no force, a small shift in your thinking or your attitude that you can carry forward. Something small to carry forward, something small. No action plan required, just awareness, only awareness. We're not planning, we're just creating awareness. You know, small shifts here in the way we think and how we think, consistently practiced, would create real change. Small things in the way we think, very small. So if, for example, we want to change the way we listen to the news or the way we consume news, there is so much information, and many people are triggered horribly by political news, horribly, right? So if I know I am triggered horribly by political news, then what can I shift in my thinking when it comes to consuming political news? What can I shift? Maybe for me, I just look at the news as information. Information. So when I think of everything as information, I don't create feelings about it. I just see it as information, right? And not get triggered. So think of little ways you can accomplish small shifts in your thinking. Practice them and accomplish real change. You know, these practices rewires our brain for positivity. We could either build our mindset or have life break it down for us, have life break it down. At this moment, I'd like to invite anyone to, yeah, beautiful. I'm looking at the chat, beautiful. I'd like to invite anyone to unmute themselves. So I have to. So any one person, you can unmute yourself and share in 2 minutes, no more, anything you're taking away from our time together today. Anyone? Everyone's shy, or is there nothing to take away?
Brother, this is Gayatri. I see you as a total blessing and an inspiration. Doing things like this is really a boost to anyone that's low in energy and mental state, because it re-energizes you and it reminds you that there is more. Because I live in a world where you have a lot of negativity, a lot of jealousy. You do the best that you can in a positive way. You give as much as you can. And that in itself creates a nature in other people to be jealous and hateful. Now you got to just keep pushing through. I ignore that and I push through, and I just give a lot of grace and thanks to my parents who are no longer here for raising us and my family in the way that they did. Because I've seen them struggle, and in spite of it all, they kept saying, do good and good will come back. But in the world, I see it as being a dark place. The world is not like it used to be. I'll be 62 tomorrow, and it's a different place from the time that I was a kid growing up. It's people don't care. And this is what makes it a society that brings a lot of depression and harshness. But for me, the one word that I would take away is positivity. You have to try to build a strength that whatever you can, and find a space separately by yourself, away from the noise, and kind of re-energize and touch base with your soul and remind yourself that positivity, in spite of the darkness, will prevail. Thank you, Om Shanti.
You're welcome. Thank you, Gayatri. Thank you. And it's so powerful that this shift, and everyone else who's listening, you can practice that also, creating this shift in the way we think to help get us through. Because there's no recipe or any formula for every one of us that would work. No, we have to figure it out because we are all so different. When you think of your thumbprint, imagine we could use our thumbprint to identify us, right? Our thumbprint. This is also different in the same way as this. There is no one medicine that fixes us here. Each of us, we're beautifully different, beautifully different. Everyone is full of goodness. Every one of us full of goodness. It's just sometimes we need help to find it and to emerge it. So thank you so much, Gayatri. Thank you so much for sharing this. As we come to the end of our session, just to let you know, I will stay on after I've paused the recording for any questions or for us just to have a chit chat. So you can stay on if you like. Um, you know, know that this is just the beginning. This is just the beginning. You being here, I'm not putting any demands on you. No, this is just awareness. Awareness. And I have planned, so for me, this is the year of transformation. And I have planned a series of sessions for this year. We'll have 11 of them. This is the first one that looks at transformation and that supports us, that brings more awareness. It will give us tools and strategies that we can put into practice to create the most beautiful life that we could live in this same challenging world. In this same challenging world, we want to create a very beautiful life. Um, from time to time, so there are activities that I'm involved in. Um, I'm at the Coover Public Library on the second Tuesday of the month from 10 o'clock, 10 to 11:30. It's an empowerment series I'm doing. So I invite you, if you're interested, and you have the time to come on. There's a television program that I'll be hosting, a new one. Information will be shared with you soon, and all of it is about transforming. It's bringing this hope back into our life, bringing this hope and teaching everyone how to build up that mental capacity, how to become empowered. If anyone wishes to meet with me on a one-on-one basis for a coaching session, I have sessions available in person in San Fernando at 79 Rushworth Street, and then there is Zoom. So feel free to get in touch with me if you think you would like some support. You'd be surprised how much you can accomplish in one coaching session. One session. It's not many sessions. No, one session. It's to bring change here, and a lot can happen in one session. So I encourage you as we go forward, invest in yourself. And when I say invest, your attention, your time in making your life better. Don't wait for anyone else to do it. No one's coming to save us. We have to do it ourselves. And that's why we don't need anyone to come, because it's really for me to do. All right. So thank you all so much. I look forward to seeing you next month for another session. And I want you to know that you don't need to be broken to want change. No, transformation begins with awareness. So don't think you have to be broken. Oftentimes, we have to be broken before we could consider change, but it's not a necessity. We don't have to be broken to want change. It begins with transformation. So thank you all so much for joining. Thanks so much for all the comments. Thanks for making the time to be here. And I look forward to seeing you all next month. Okay? See you soon and stay happy.